Hello, it's Les Solgrove, NoCoast MLS Director for the Iowa Association of Realtors and NoCoast Served membership. Today, we're going to go through a fairly quick PowerPoint showing you the changes that have occurred in the MLS since August 5th and the uh, basically what the settlement agreement is going to mean to you as of Saturday, August 17th. And I also want to introduce and go over a couple of the MLS rules. We're going to go through the fine structure and make sure you all understand which areas have changed in that, and also kind of give you a quick overview of the NoCoast homepage where you can find all of this information. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go right into this today. So again, settlement days are upon us, and it's actually August 17th is a Saturday, and that is the date that all of the settlement agreements requirements must go into full effect. And as you all know, August 5th, we removed um, the compensation fields from the MLS and all the reports. So let's take a quick peek here at the homepage of NoCoast MLS, and your login page might look a little different because you're logging in under your local board. But for the most part, you'll see that there's this center section here, which used to have a timeline map up until just a day or so ago, now has the date that I uploaded this new text. This is again just kind of a reminder that the bylaws and the policies manual are updated. Also, it's very, very important to understand. We're going to talk in greater detail here about this in a second, but there is going to be a zero tolerance policy on any agent attempting to circumvent the mandated policy. And what I mean by that is by trying to put compensation information in the MLS, trying to slip codes in pictures or in your verbiage, it's not going to be acceptable. And the board of directors voted on a pretty hefty fine structure, and you can see right here in the right hand side, it's $1,000 to the agent and $500 to the agent's broker, and that's for the first offense, and that's going to be assessed without warning. So again, if you're not planning on trying to circumvent anything, you got nothing to worry about. If you do, we've got stuff in place here. So um, to the very left here, underneath the NoCoast symbol, and this will be kind of in the same place on yours, you'll notice there's a new section here now. It's called Agent Broker Resources, and I've put numbers next to them so that we can refer to them 1 through 7, and we're only going to kind of basically look at 1 through 3 today. We're going to talk really briefly about the policies and bylaws. We're going to spend most of our time talking about the fine schedule and how to submit violations. So also below that is specific contact information for myself and Matthew Autumn for IT support. So, and I see I have his name spelled wrong, so I'll fix that. Sorry, Matt. Okay, so over here to the left, Agent Broker Resources, item number 1, the new 2024 MLS Policies and Bylaws Manual, and all of the addendums, appendix that go along with that have all been updated. In fact, this is the cover page of that document. It's 55 pages long. It is worth downloading and having a copy. I wouldn't probably print it unless you really want to take it home and read it in depth, but you can always use it as a reference. But you notice underneath each of these sections, they are updated as of August 17th, which is this coming Saturday. We're already in effect, but the August 17th date is on there to be in compliance with NAR and the settlement agreement. And again, there's our contact information on that as well. Also over here, number 2 is the MLS violation fine schedule. And we're going to actually go through the different sections. But what I wanted to point out is this actually looks a little bit different than it did in the past. We now have our compliance categories all grouped to the top as a CV1. And then as we go down below, yellow, purple, red, and dark purple are the codes. As the darker it gets at the bottom, the higher the violation. We're going to actually go into those in a minute, but this is the one that you want to be working from. The summary is at the top now, showing you what the minimum fine amount is and whether there's a warning or not. And currently we do offer warnings for the citations, but that's really about the only category that we can really, at this point moving forward, give warnings to. At some point, we're going to not some point by this Saturday, we have to become very, very much more strict with the rules here. So we're going to go through this in a second. But what rules is not complete, rules section is not complete unless you have a way to submit violations of MLS rules that are violated from this new policy. And you notice over here on the left, number 3, it's already in red. I want that to make sure that you understand that this is where you can go to, if you see an MLS violation, maybe you see the word commission in a listing contract, or if you see an error on a listing, anything that you would normally turn in a violation for, please use this form. This is not meant for a free-for-all for agents that are not busy to go out and start to just like search the MLS for errors. If I start to get a lot from certain individuals, single individuals, I'm going to probably call them and say, look, let's refocus your efforts here. Well, yes, it's important that we help self-police. It's also you're not deputized here to be assistant to the police cop that I end up being here. So it is this form. If you've used it before, it's pretty familiar to you. I have updated it to match the current bylaws. And understand one thing about this form is when you submit a violation, the agent that may be on the other side that has created that violation is not told who turned them in. Many times I will find these violations as well from an audit. And believe me, I will be doing a lot of manual auditing in the next several months, just trying to make sure we're staying in compliance with the settlement agreement. But please fill out all the areas. There are many that are, in fact, most of them are required with the little red star here. So do as best you can. And if you ever have questions, you can always email me at les@iowarealtors.com. So. All right, so that's really kind of it. There are other resources over here. The new residential listing input form, you can download that from that link right there. If you happen to list a property that the county doesn't match up with the city, sometimes we see that when a small town sits on the border of another county, that bordering county, while it may not appear to be part of that city, sometimes the city boundaries go over to that county and we need to manually add that. There's a request form to do that. Matthew and I have the ability to do that automatically for you within the state. If it's an out-of-state listing, which is maybe a border state of Iowa, which is basically affects RLI members, we have to turn that into Paragon admin to help us with that. Also, we have the MLS area map, and that is the blue map that shows you all of the counties that NoCoast MLS serves. And want to make sure that you are listing properties. Anytime you list a property in that blue area, regardless of where your board is, if you're a NoCoast member, it must be in the MLS. And of course, fax.realtor for more settlement information as it comes forward here. So. All right, well, let's jump in here. Let's talk first about there are 2 types of violations that we manage here at NoCoast MLS. There's what we call a citation and a major violation. We're going to talk first about the citation violations, and these are the ones that you'll see in a second are green labeled with green fields, and we're going to bring those up. But basically, you have an opportunity to correct. If there's a violation that's turned in on the green section, I'm going to contact you and say, hey, there's, maybe it's a sale price that was turned in, or maybe there's don't have your disclosures up on time, something to that effect, something that is easily correctable. And you'll have 24 hours of notice to have that correction made. Does all of our citations and major violations all fall under a first, second, and a third offense tiered fine system? So the first offense is a warning. And if it's not corrected within that 24 hours, then it's $50 to have that corrected. And then there's a per day fee that, we want to make sure that it doesn't just sit out there. So clearly I'll be working with whoever's making these violations and making sure that they are updated. But I will tell you, in the last year and a half since we've been really doing this, I've only collected a couple of violation fines, and that's just basically when agents decided to not either respond, or they responded and never followed through. So that's kind of the only time in the last year and a half, that I've actually ever fined anybody. So let's look first of all, what is the green, the citations, and you notice over here the fine code CV is citation violation, and it's a level 1. In fact, all of the citation violations are all level 1s. And some of the examples are, for example, they forgot to upload their seller disclosures. Now, before you see a brand new listing and you don't see the disclosures on there and you see it just came on the market 20 minutes ago, don't turn that in as a violation. Understand that it does take agents a period of time to get all the documents in. They technically have one business day to get the listing up and documents loaded. And I am not going to thump anybody if it takes them a couple more hours to get the seller disclosure. Now, if we get past a day or so, or at least a day, I will reach out to the agent. And again, that's a situation where it can be issued a warning and no fine. Some of the other issues down here, like missing required field information, and obviously the MLS isn't going to let you enter your listing if you don't have all the required fields in the MLS. But let's just say you're missing that seller disclosure, for example. Incorrect reported sale data. Sometimes agents or staff hit that 3 zeros extra, and they put all zeros in, and it automatically picks the last three. And so then all of a sudden your listing is basically 1,000 times higher price than it was before. Those are easy fixes. I can fix those on our end. We will help you with those. So again, the idea here is education, making sure that you're getting your photos on in time. Again, if it takes you a little longer to get the photos in, as long as it's within that 24 hours or that one business day, we're fine with that. So the next step up above the citations now is the major violations. And major violations are ones that will typically not allow a warning. Now, I will tell you that in this yellow section, I'm probably going to be a little softer handed. I want to make sure that you are understanding what the violations are and how to correct them. If there is a grace period given, it's on a per case basis, and it doesn't mean I'm setting precedent. It just might mean that maybe you're a new agent or you have a new staff and didn't know. I'm going to help you learn before we're going to establish the fines. But if you're a habitual repeat offender or someone that's been using the system sometime and you're just clearly breaking the MLS rules, you may not get that same what I call the velvet hammer touch here. So again, just like the others, we have a first, second, and a third offense, and MV1 is the major violation category 1. These all start out at a $200 fine with additional 200 if not corrected. So it's starting to get a little pricey here, but it's going to be very, very important that we follow these. So examples of, there we are, examples of a major violation 1 fine. Again, this starts out at 200, 300, and 500. The major violation 2, we'll go to that, and then we'll see the combined violation list here of MV1 and MV2. Major violation 2s rise to the level of a $500 minimum fine, $750, and a $1,000 fine at the third offense. And you'll notice also here it shows you which references there are to these violations. So let's take a quick peek here. There's those reference lines right there. 13 through 20 are major violation 1s. Violation 2s are 21 through 23. I would say once we get down here below into the pink section, there's probably not going to be any grace given because these are pretty serious violations. For example, publishing a lockbox or alarm code in the public remarks section. Now, we see those a lot in the agent remarks. I don't like them there, but it's still okay. It's just you obviously want to be careful because violation 22 talks about violating the rule by sending an agent-only property data sheet to the client. And I can see this if you're doing an open house and you printed out the wrong report, and the public gets out there and they might see then that lockbox information, for example, if it's in the agent remarks. So we never ever give the clients or the public the agent remarks or the agent reports that are available in there. A couple of the others up here in the major violation 1 is false depiction of a property by way of a photo or a virtual tour. So let's say you Photoshop something out of the picture, and something like power lines, for example. That's a pretty major violation, actually. But if you photoshopped out the power lines and they're clearly there at the listing, you're deceiving the public on that. And not only would you be in violation of MLS rules, probably also code of ethics. So anyway, that's violation 1, major violation 2, Again, between $200 and $500, and 500 to 1,000 is the scale. So now let's talk about the other two. We have major violations 3, and then a new one called major violations 4, which we'll talk about in a second. Major violations number 3, there are 24 through 28 is the reference number in the fine schedule. And those automatically start out at $750. These are major violations, and there is absolutely no grace period, no warning. It is, if you're caught doing this, you're going to get the violation here. And the major, we'll see those violations here in just a second. The major violation number 4, which is a new one we've added now since the compensation has been removed from the MLS. We have now categorized violating that particular category with a major violation number 4. And we'll look at it in depth in a second, but just understand that this violation, if you end up putting comments in the MLS that have to do with commission, and they are found to be in there, whether it's in remarks, whether it's in a photograph, if you're trying to sneak in code, which we'll have some examples in a second, or include them in uploaded documents, that's not allowed. You're going to get an automatic fine. And that's going to begin as of Saturday, the 17th here. So the fine not only goes $1,000 to the agent, but also a $500 additional fine to the broker. And we feel like this is the path that we really need to do to make sure that the broker is also watching the agents in this particular case. This is a very important situation where we want to make sure that we are following the rules to the law, to the letter. And second violation is $2,500 for the agent, and $1,000 to the broker, and $5,000 to the third violation, and $2,500 to the broker. Plus, you also probably going to get called in and have the board of directors review, and very possible have additional action. So if you're one of these agents that say it doesn't apply to me and I don't care what you do, it's going to be about 3 violations, and you'll be at the limit there before you'll find out that you really can't violate those. So here are the breakdowns. So there's that red section, 24 through 28, major violations 3. These 5 specific sections are violating coming soon. So if you have a listing out there that says, hey, I'm going to list a house next week, it's not ready, but let me know if you want to see it, or just it's going to come on the market here in a week or two, and you're already advertising it, that's a coming soon listing. And that's an automatic $750 fine. Again, it tiers up to $1,500 if it's a third offense, but $750 is the first violation. Clear cooperation. We all know about clear cooperation, similar to a coming soon. If you are out there promoting a listing, or if you're advertising a property, you put the sign in the yard, and you're holding open house, and the listing does not enter into the MLS within 1 business day, it gets beyond that, then you are clearly marketing a property, and that falls into clear cooperation. So clear cooperation and coming soon are similar, but there's a couple little differences there. Again, the same fine structure for that. Delayed showings. We don't see a lot of delayed showings at NoCoast MLS, but when we do, there's a specific form that they have to use with that. It's a appendix, I think it's appendix B or C. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of those two. You'll see it on the homepage of NoCoast MLS, and it's also in the MLS rules here. But if you are trying to do a delayed showing listing, and you are just putting the sign in the yard saying effectively in 3 days or 5 days this listing will be live, there cannot be any showings done, and it's the only really workaround to a coming soon rule of clear cooperation. It does have to be listed in the MLS, and the specific understanding that if an agent does show or allows another agent to show the property during that delayed showing period, it's a major violation, and we will not give any break on that. Office exclusive, same thing. Again, occasionally agents will list office exclusive and not quite understand what office exclusive means. Be sure and call me or email me if you have a question before doing that. There is an additional form for that one as well, that your seller needs to sign on that one, that states they understand and they are the ones that are requesting office exclusive. And in many cases, you will need to, in fact, all cases, you will need to send the copy of that third party office exclusive listing form signed by the seller, either to your local executive officer or to myself. And so we can have that on file. The last one in these major violations, 3, is the unauthorized access to any NoCoast MLS system. And that just basically means never, ever, ever give your login and password to the consumer or to a lender or a vendor that says, hey, I just want to check and see what the listings are doing. The login and password is for your use as an agent only. You agree to that when you subscribe to NoCoast MLS, and that one is also a major no-no. Never have had that happen that I'm aware of, but $750 is the base fine. So let's talk a minute about number 29 here. This is in purple. This is our highest fineable violation. And essentially, if you do this on the first time, if you absolutely are being defiant and you put in the listing remarks, seller cooperation to seller broker is accepted, or we look forward to working with your buyers. We'll show you some examples here, like I said, in a second. If that is found in the MLS and either through an audit or turned in, I will go in and actually physically remove that portion of comment from the MLS. It says listing removed from the MLS. I want to remove that comment first, especially for the first violation. I will probably not remove the listing from the MLS, but it is an automatic $1,000 fine and $500 to the broker. Beyond that, if an agent does that a second time, the listing itself will be absolutely removed from the MLS and be assessed a $2,500 and $1,000 to the broker. I don't think we're going to see anybody do it more than once. We might see some that didn't understand. And unfortunately, in this particular case, not understanding is not an excuse. We've had so many training sessions, and you all understand you cannot put anything compensation related into the MLS. And that's we're just going to hold tight to that. We have to do that to be in compliance with the NAR settlement agreement. So let's look at a couple of examples here. These are examples that I've seen. Now, the names on these posts here are all from someone outside of our MLS. These are actual examples I've seen in other user groups I'm in. And so, for example, can you just change the last 2 digits of the price to basically identify whether the listing is sharing a percentage? Anything out of the ordinary. We see 900, 999, or 000, or 500, or 200, 250. But if we start to see stuff where we start to see a 28, where that's going to indicate, a percentage of co-op split or something to that effect, and you all know what I'm talking about here. This is not allowed. We will come down on you on that and have you change that immediately, because we do not want the DOJ or the NAR settlement attorneys to come back and see us. Be very, very smart about emojis. I've seen this one. We're going to put a thumbs up or a different finger up, whether that means yes, we are compensating, or no, we're not. Can't do that. Yeah, they thought that was funny. CTTB or references to courtesy to buyer's broker in the comment section. While you are not saying the word compensation or commission, you are indicating that compensation is available, and that is not allowed in the MLS. We cannot have that. I will say the best advice is consistency is key here. So if you're going to start putting anything in your MLS, for example, buyers, we will negotiate, or we will welcome all offers. Let's just say that's the phrase you want to put in there in your listing. We welcome all offers. That in itself, if that's all it is, that could be construed as not being a violation. However, if during that period of time, let's say you take 10 listings over the course of a year, 5 of those listings say that phrase, and the other 5 listings do not say that phrase. We will negotiate with every offer, or whatever it is you put in there. And then the DOJ or the NAR settlement attorneys audit your listings and say, okay, you had 5 listings where that phrase was in there, and those 5 offered compensation, and the 5 where the phrase was not in there, do not offer compensation, they're going to draw a pretty darn quick line that you are steering agents to your listing based on compensation or steering them away based on the lack of compensation. So my advice is do not try to game the system, but if you're going to put something in there that is not a violation, do it consistently. So say it on every one. And there's nothing wrong with saying, we welcome all offers, for example. That's a standard statement, but put it on every single listing and do not take it off of those that are not. So don't forget to do that every single time. You're only putting yourself at risk. Other examples are, can a listing agent put commission in the instructions and showing time? I think we all know that by now. That answer is no, because anything that's fed from the MLS system, and showing time is fed from the MLS system, all the data and the listing information, then you cannot go to showing time and amend that, because that is part of the NoCoast MLS serviced vendors that we provide. So can I say in private remarks, we are buyer agent friendly. Buyers agents call me and ask your question. We love buyer agents. We just talked about that. So you be very, very careful with what you are putting in. If you're going to put in a very, very bland statement, do it on every listing, as long as it doesn't indicate whether or not you are offering compensation. You really need to kind of look at this whole process, kind of like you do with fair housing. Describe the property, not the contractual portion of the listing. Okay. Don't get cute, don't put in there in your remarks, I'm serving 3% milk at my open house, after August 17th. The question was, can I write, agents, bring your buyers? We can't wait to work with you. No, you can't do that. Buyer agency protected. Again, more of these analogies, BAP versus CTBB. Can't do that. And then can we say, please add buyer compensation to offer price? No, because now you're directing, again, whether or not you do that consistently, or even the fact that it's in there might indicate whether or not you're offering compensation. And be careful with the emojis, So really, none of these examples can be done in NoCoast MLS, and we will follow up. And basically after August 17th, there's no grace period. I will tell you that I did go through all of the listings that are active and pending, because everything sold happened prior to August 17th. I went through all the active and pending listings, and I was able to do some searching, and I found over 155, I think it was, properties in the MLS that I corrected manually. For example, this one says no commission will be paid on upgrades, overages, or closing costs. That is, again, talking about compensation or commission. I took that one out. This one talks specifically about commission, listing broker, X% of purchase price, seller broker up to X% of the purchase price. This was actually in the MLS still as of a day or so ago. It's now gone. And then here's another one. Buyer broker commission is not offered to reserve buyer list. There are any reference to commission is not going to be allowed. And again, I think out of all the listings, commercial, land, farm, everything, there were, I think we have close to 3,000 listings in their total, both active and pending, in all the categories. And to only have 155 or so, I felt that was pretty good. Now, did I miss some? Very well, I could have. So I'm going to encourage every one of you on your active and pending listings to please log in and look at your listings very closely, because if there's one that's been missed, you've missed the deadline as of Saturday to get that cleared up without becoming automatically fined. And I really, really don't want to see anybody get fined. This is not the goal of NoCoast MLS to assess fines. So Facts.Realtor is a great resource by NAR. They have tons and tons of frequently asked questions. You're asking me questions. Most of the questions you're asking me can be answered by going to NAR settlement FAQs, and you can open them up and view them all at one time. There's a little expand all. I don't know if you can see that on there. There's a little expand all. And then if you use your browser search, the to search for a keyword, it'll help you search that quicker, but they're all in categories as well. So that's a great resource to have at your fingertips. And the Iowa Association also has a page under the news section here. It's called NAR Settlement Updates. Please make sure that you're seeing that, because everything from NAR is probably referenced there, but also anything that's local is also referenced here as well. So let me get out of this shared screen. There we go. Just a reminder, yesterday, August 14th, it became you were able now to include compensation requests within a purchase agreement. So that's, where you want to basically be confirming, if you've talked to another broker and they've agreed to pay a compensation, that you incorporate that into your purchase agreement, and that will certainly should make things a lot easier just to deal with here. So, all right, that's basically it. I know this was a little longer video, but I sure hope that you'll watch this, you'll save it, you'll play it at your office meetings if you're the broker. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My name, my phone number and email address are on the MLS and several different places here. I will do my very best to answer your questions as they come in, and on occasion I will get it in a voicemail or by text message or an email. I will respond to them as quickly as I can. So that's about it. I just hope that you will all play by the rules. Try not to do any workarounds. In fact, don't try. Just don't do any workarounds. It's not worth it in your business. So questions, I'll see you all again later. Otherwise, thanks for joining me, and get out there and sell some real estate. It's not going to be a bad market, I think, with interest rates coming down. So get out there and take advantage.